Welcome, welcome, welcome to In the Loop Lupus Live with Lupus in Color with another wonderful story from a lupus warrior. From my understanding, this is the first time she's speaking about her lupus diagnosis on live. So I'm excited to hear from her. We're going to be speaking with lupus warrior Ebony Ford of the Miracle Mama, and she's going to give us some great nuggets and she's going to let us know her story. And I see that Ebony is here. I just want to let everybody know that we are streaming on Facebook, we are streaming on YouTube, and we have our trusty little phone over here streaming the back portion of it to Instagram so that everybody can have an opportunity to hear her story. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Ebony up and then we're going to start talking a little bit. Okay. Hi, Ebony.
Hi, how are
How are
you?
you?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh, I am fantastic. I'm so excited to see you and get to hear your
Likewise.
story. It's amazing.
Likewise.
I love it. I love it. So let's start by saying who you are and what's going on with you.
Okay, so my name is Ebony Ford. I reside in the Washington, D.C. area. I'm a wife of almost 10 years. I'm a mom of a little 1 pound, 15 ounce miracle named Rain Victoria, which is where my Instagram name and She Shall Reign comes from.
I
Her
love it.
journey is also how I became known as the Miracle Mama and some other miracles along the way that we'll talk about.
Awesome. Awesome. I love I always see your name and I'm like, I love the name and she shall reign. I just love it. And we're going to get into how you got to that name in a minute. But why don't you tell us, when did you get diagnosed with lupus and what led up to that diagnosis?
Sure. So 2013, it was about February or March of February I'm sorry, of 2013. I was pregnant at the time, and I kept having fevers and rashes and terrible joint pain that it was sending me to the emergency room like every week. It was just unbearable. Nothing I did would resolve it. And after going so many times, there was an ER doctor who just finally sat down and asked for a total and complete history. He's like, tell me everything that's been going on with you for the past few years. And it started some years prior with heart issues. I kept having issues with my heart racing. And then my rhythm would just suddenly plummet. It would cause me to pass out. I've passed out on subways. I've passed out at work. Just not the best situation, and I could never really get answers. They put me on a ton of medicines
Right.
that really just lowered my heart rate to a dangerous rate, causing me to also pass out. So I couldn't really win. I went through multiple cardiac ablations and was still having this issue. They just could not find it. I then started having issues with my white blood cell count. I
Mm-hmm.
started having kidney issues. I noticed things were happening with my skin. And then came these high fevers. Also had gastric issues. They had diagnosed me with Crohn's disease. But I always felt like it just never fit the bill. I always felt like something just was not right. Like, I don't
Right.
believe I have a heart condition and Crohn's. I always felt like there was a missing piece. And it took 2013 for that to happen. And I always say that I think that pregnancy, if nothing else, was really a blessing in disguise. Although it ended in loss, it was a blessing because most people know lupus goes into remission during pregnancy. It took that for it to come out. Otherwise, I
Mm.
don't know if I would have ever gotten the diagnosis.
Wow.
So, heart
Wow.
issues, stomach issues, all of that stuff on tons. I think I was on like 5 different heart meds at once, all
Right.
these stomach medicines, and really feeling no better, suffering side effects from all of them. And I was only 25 at the time that I got
Ooh.
diagnosed and was feeling terrible. No, actually, I just turned 26, and was just newly married, and I'm like, I don't want to start things off like this. What is going on with me? So
Right.
that doctor in the emergency room, after getting that, he said, look, I'm going to take some tests. They're not going to come back tonight. It's probably going to be a few days. He said,
Mm.
I'm going to warn you, you're probably going to get a bill for this because this is not an emergency medicine protocol. However, I want to do this for you because I don't feel like you're getting what you need from
Mm.
primary or cardiology or GI. Little known to me, he actually ran the ANA test,
Wow.
which many of us know about. And
Right.
he ran some other things like rheumatoid factor, and it came back that my rheumatoid factor was about 5 times what he said it should have been
Wow.
for a healthy, normal person. ANA was positive. All of these things, along with this rash that I had developed, I
Mm-hmm.
soon came to know was a butterfly rash
Right.
that would develop every time I would get a fever, or my joints would like swell and they'd
Mm-hmm.
be painful, hot to the touch. Turned out, he came back and said, "I'm pretty sure you have
Right.
something called lupus." He said, "I don't know which kind, but I'm going to take a shot in the dark," and said, "You probably have SLE, which
Mm-hmm.
is the systemic lupus." He said,
Right.
"So I'm going to send you to a rheumatologist, let them do what they need to do." And literally they looked at it and was like, yeah, it seems positive, but let's go ahead and do some more tests.
Right.
And for
Right.
many people, lupus is a diagnosis of exclusion for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And after running so many other things, he said, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure you have lupus, and I
Mm.
would not be surprised if there's some rheumatoid arthritis in there from the level of damage that you have to your joint." So that's how my story basically began with lupus.
I mean, you were still very young, and
Hmm.
like you said, you were starting your life with a new husband, and that had to be so heavy on you. And not even just because you were finally diagnosed, but you had a loss of life from that. And
Hmm.
even though it was something that was very traumatic, you can see the blessing inside of it because you did get the lupus diagnosis, and that's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
that is the rainbow for me in it
yeah,
all, is that I finally found out what was going on. But
right,
the diagnosis is, I tell people, it's, I don't even want to say half the battle. It might be a quarter of the battle.
right,
Now I know what to name it. Now, how do we treat it? How do we
right,
repair the damage? How do we prevent future damage? I
right.
came to find that that would be the ongoing battle.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So when you were first diagnosed, like we said, it was traumatic. But what was your thoughts? Did you know anything about lupus? Had you heard about lupus? Does anybody in your family have lupus?
So I heard about it. I didn't know anybody in my family who had it. I did
Hmm.
know that there was a lot of early onset, like arthritis, things
Hmm.
that people never took the time to, get further investigated. Oh, my back just hurts, my knee just hurts. I did later find out that further in the bloodline, there were some people who were actually diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. But
Right,
my first thought was like, lupus, okay. Hmm, let me just look this up. Let me really dive into this and see what this is.
right.
And it was scary when I first,
I know, right?
said it. I was
It's
like,
like,
there's all these images of people with like deformed, joints, and I'm like,
right.
God, I'm only 26. What in the world? And at that time, the rashes were getting terrible. They were covering my neck and my face, and
Hmm.
um, I was a hairstylist and makeup artist at the time, so
Wow.
I
Okay.
was doing my best to cover it, but my skin was just getting worse and worse, and I'm like, okay, I need to figure out what else is going on with this. What else do I need to look for?
Right.
So,
Right.
although scared, I was intrigued by this
Right.
diagnosis, and just wanted to do my due diligence and find out everything that I could.
Yeah, and find out everything for yourself, and then find out how your body is going to react to having this. Was
Hmm.
all coming down at you at one time.
Yeah.
Now, I'm assuming that this was your husband saying, "Hey, baby."
Yes, that's my husband.
I love it. I love the support. I love it. I love it. I love it. So you have lupus. Did they still keep the RA
Yes.
for you? So you have
Hmm.
lupus, RA. What else do you have?
That is it. That
Thank
is more
goodness.
than enough.
Thank goodness.
But it has caused some other issues along the way.
And let's
Um,
let's get into that because I know that you're the founder of the Miracle Mama. And why don't you tell us a little bit about what the Miracle Mama is about and how you came to create that organization and how it works with you and your body and with lupus and everything else that's going on.
Sure. So in 2017, after having several pregnancy losses, even after the one that I told you about,
Mm.
my husband and I, we were 30 at the time, and we were just living our life, enjoying our marriage. We were getting ready to celebrate 5 years of marriage, and shortly before our anniversary, we found out we were pregnant. So we're like, okay. And I prayed a very specific prayer
Okay.
after suffering those losses. And it was just simply, Lord, do not let me get pregnant. If I am not going to leave labor and delivery with a live,
Mm.
breathing baby to take home, because
Specific. Absolutely.
my heart can't take it,
Right.
my mind can't take it.
Right.
So don't. So, it had been years that, although not preventing, we had not gotten pregnant. So we found out we were pregnant. I felt confident. I was like, okay, this is probably it. Pregnancy went on without a hitch. I felt great. I felt amazing. My lupus was absolutely in remission. At 25 weeks, I went into my doctor, and because I had lupus, because of the previous losses, they kept a very, very close eye on me. They
Mhm.
ran all kinds of a whole battery of tests every single appointment, just to keep a close eye and make sure everything was going okay. Blood pressure was great, kidneys were doing great, everything was great. And my 25th week appointment, right before the appointment, I noticed my feet were swelling a little bit. So I was ready to bring that up to my doctor. But we went in. Turns out my doctor had an emergency C-section, so I had to see a partner. And my husband and I went in, and I had explained, hey, I have this swelling in my feet. He was really dismissive about that. He was more interested in talking about the previous losses, and he was
Mm.
just so intrigued that we
Right.
decided to keep trying. And that was really that. So at the end of the appointment, I was due to take a trip with my husband. My husband is a gospel recording artist, and there
Okay.
is an award show called the Stellar Awards that happens
Yeah.
every year.
Mhm. Mhm.
And we were due to perform that weekend in Las Vegas. And I asked, is it okay for me to fly? This is the last time I'm going to fly in my pregnancy. Is it
Right.
okay? They gave me the clearance. He just told me some things to do. And I said, okay, all right, fine. They had me on baby aspirin. He told me to double it up. That's a measure to help prevent preeclampsia.
Right.
And I went on the trip. And while on the trip, the first day, I felt fine. Everything was great. Second day, I noticed my hands and my feet were swelling drastically.
Mm.
And then, like the third day, I noticed that I was really out of breath. I couldn't take more than like 4 or 5 steps without being out of breath. I had to
Wow.
sleep sitting up, and I knew something was very wrong. We were
Wow.
staying about maybe a block or two from an emergency room, and while we were going to our different places, I kept saying, like in my head, like, I probably need to go to the emergency room because I can't breathe and this is weird. Or is this just pregnancy? Is this just what I need to expect from
Right.
this point
Right.
forward? And something in my gut just said, do not go to the emergency room. But yes, something is wrong. So I reached out to my doctor. I sent a note and just said, hey, this is what's going on with me. I'm in Las Vegas. And she just said, hurry up and get back. I'm here. I'm on call the whole weekend. When you get in, just let them know.
Right.
I'm here, whatever. Call me, page me. So we returned back to Washington, D.C. And upon touching down, I realized I started having visual disturbances. My vision was
Mm.
like gray. It was almost like I had on sunglasses.
Mm.
My
Wow.
feet were so swollen that while in Las Vegas, we had to go to Walmart and buy me some size 11 shoes. And I wore a 8.5, 9 at the time.
Wow.
Just to have something to put my feet in. I had to get around on the little mobile cart.
Whew.
It was progressing really, really fast. So I got there and found that my blood pressure was 262 over 154,
Are you kidding me?
which is why I had the visual disturbances.
Wow.
I was swelling and I was out of breath. Within the
Whew.
first hour or so, they realized, okay, you probably have preeclampsia. Your blood pressure's up, you're swelling, there's protein in your urine. We're waiting for some other tests to come back. You're probably going to end up staying here
Right.
in the hospital until you have your baby.
Right.
We could probably keep you pregnant, manage your preeclampsia. So my husband and I were like, okay, not what we wanted, but we said, full, fine, whatever. I was
Right.
26 weeks. I said, okay, 6 more weeks of this, they can keep me pregnant till 32 weeks. I think I can do that in the hospital.
Right.
The moment we got ready to call our family and share, they came back in the room with additional doctors and said, hey, the rest of your blood work and things have come back. I'm so sorry, but you're going to have your baby today.
Wow.
I was 26 weeks pregnant. And
Wow.
no idea what a 26-weeker baby looked like. I
Right.
knew and I had heard that 24 weeks was about the time they would start trying to, save smaller babies, but I had no idea what this would look like for me.
Mm.
And they began running down the list as they were rushing me upstairs, get ready to do this emergency C-section. They explained to me that because of how sick I was, that they would need to put me on basically life support, intubate me, sedate me, and do this emergency C-section, that I would be in the ICU for a minimum of 24 hours. Could be
Whew.
longer, depending on how my body reacted, but my systems were failing. My liver enzymes were 7 times the normal amount. I was a complete liver failure, which explained a lot of the sickness and things I
Yeah.
was experiencing. My kidneys had shut down, which explained the 30-pound gain that I
Dang.
had
Yeah.
experienced in a matter of 3 to 4 days, which eventually got drained off through dialysis. So they're telling me all of this stuff,
Right.
and they're rushing me into this C-section, and I never once
Mm-hmm.
thought my baby's not going to survive. I never had that thought.
Okay.
I thought I wasn't gonna make it. And I was
Mm.
sure I wasn't gonna make it. I began,
Mm.
you know how people say my life flashed before my eyes? I
Right.
felt the
Right.
real thing. I
Yeah.
literally started replaying all these different circumstances and wondering, did I do my best? Did I say I'm sorry? Did I forgive them?
Right.
Playing all that stuff in my mind. Who's gonna help him raise my daughter? Who's gonna,
Right. Mm.
what can I do?
Whew.
And I literally just began just asking God to like forgive me for everything I ever said,
Yeah.
didn't do, and should have done.
Right. Right.
Um, all of that, and just asking God to please protect my baby and my husband after I leave, because
Wow.
I was that convinced.
Yeah.
I couldn't breathe. And not being able to breathe has a feeling of doom to it by itself.
Right.
But I think everything that was going on in my body gave me this crazy adrenaline rush, and I just felt like, oh God, that's it. That's it. I'm,
Right.
I'm leaving here. There was an amazing nurse, who the whole time they were prepping me for the C-section, before they knocked me out, she was talking in my ear. She was praying in my ear. She was talking to me, like keeping me calm. And I just remember looking at my doctor. My doctor said, "Okay, we'll get ready to do this." That was it. I
Mm.
opened my eyes, what I now know to be, the very next day, well over. Let me see. I had her at 6:53. It was about 12 noon, so
Okay.
for about 18 hours.
Yeah.
I woke up and I was able to look at the clock in front of me, and I'm looking around and nobody's in the room, and I'm like, okay, maybe I didn't die.
Right.
And I kind of chuckled to myself, and when I laughed is when I realized I still had a tube in my throat. I went to like reach to get like a nurse's button to tell somebody I'm awake, and realized my hands and my legs were tied to the bed.
Wow.
And that's a precaution they take, when
Absolutely.
you're intubated, if you try to fight and pull out the tube and all of
Absolutely.
that. But at the time, I didn't know that, and I didn't care.
Yeah.
I was freaking out. So they came in and basically explained everything that happened to me, while on complete life support.
Hmm.
They basically did all of the precautions to make sure I could get a liver transplant if I needed it,
Right.
because the medicines were not working. Thankfully, the dialysis helped my kidneys a ton. They removed about 30 pounds of fluid, they said,
Oh,
and were able to
good
kind of
gosh.
jumpstart my kidneys again. I have
Right.
pictures. I have a lot of them on my Insta, completely unrecognizable. My
Wow.
face was completely bloated, swollen, my neck
Sure.
completely
I'm
swollen.
sure.
Um, and that got worse after. I didn't realize how bad I looked until I looked back on the videos right before the C-section. I'm like, I really did not look like myself.
Yeah.
Um, so we
Well,
went
you
through
weren't
all of that.
yourself. Not with all that illness coming on to you. You really weren't yourself.
I wasn't. I really
Yeah.
wasn't. So my husband was eventually allowed to come in, and he'd explained that we had this baby girl, and he gave me her weight in grams, and I was like, what does that mean? So we
Right.
Googled it, and I found out that I had a 1 pound 15 ounce baby,
Wow.
something
Wow.
I had only heard of in passing, that a
Right.
baby that small could survive. And while we were, this goes to kind of answer one of the questions you had for me.
Hmm.
While we were going through infertility, there was a scripture. It is 2 Timothy 2:12, and it goes on to say that if you suffer with him, you
Mm.
will reign with him.
Mm.
And
Mm.
we had already decided that our daughter's name was going to be Reign Victoria. I had no idea
Wow.
what was in front of us. That
Wow.
this 1 pound, 15 ounce baby was literally going to have to reign if she was going to survive the NICU journey.
Wow.
And that began a 3 month journey of with her in the NICU. I ended up coming out of the ICU a bit later that day. They took me over to regular labor and delivery, although my blood pressure was still high. My kidneys and my my liver kind of regulated enough that
Right.
they could treat me in labor and delivery. I got down there and then I got to meet my baby for the first time. And
Mm.
our journey began. And that is uh, one of the moments I tell people that you literally have to trust your intuition. I had all these other really cute names picked out,
I'm
but
sure, they have the little, what's the nickname and all this stuff, but
I had so many names picked out.
right,
We knew we
right.
wanted her to have her dad's initials, as you see my husband on the screen. It's
Yeah,
RBF. Um, but we couldn't have picked a better name.
yeah.
I tell
Ab-
people all the time, God Himself named
Yes,
my daughter
absolutely.
because literally, not only would she have to, but we would also have to reign and find a way to find a miracle in all of this mess. So for 3 months, she fought lung collapses. She had three
Mm.
lung collapses, chest tubes,
Wow.
sepsis, 10 blood transfusions.
Mm.
We went through it. It wasn't as bad of a NICU journey as predicted. They did
Right,
tell us she could be blind, deaf, cerebral palsy. Expect autism. Expect the worst, that she may not survive her honeymoon period, which is the first 48 hours. So we
right,
literally did not know what to expect.
right,
By the grace of God, she left after 3 months. She came home to us seemingly healthy. And it was at her first cold that we realized, okay, maybe she's not so healthy. She ended
mm,
up in the PICU. And it became this really open and honest journey of me just sharing. I started my Instagram to share with my family members who don't live here her
gotcha.
NICU journey. I got
Mm,
sick of having to approve the private request, so I just made it a public page.
I
And before I
understand.
realized it, 40 family members became 1,500 followers. That
Wow,
became 2,000 followers. And before
wow.
I knew it, the numbers kept doubling of all of these NICU parents looking for
Mhm.
someone else's story, looking for a victory, like I was looking for a victory. Is my
Absolutely.
baby gonna make it? What is life after NICU?
Mm,
So it started really informally. As I shared, my husband is he's a musician, he's a singer, I'm a singer,
yeah.
and there is a song. It is a hallelujah chorus, and there's a line, and he shall reign
Rain.
forever.
Absolutely.
So that's
Absolutely.
the play on our Instagram
I
name,
love
and
it.
she shall reign. So that began the journey with that page and connected me to so many amazing parents all around the world, connected with March of Dimes. We did commercials and print ads for them,
Nice.
which was amazing to be able to do. But I knew there was something more I needed to do. I got involved with the Preeclampsia Foundation, and that's when I learned the connection between lupus and preeclampsia. A huge connection that I really hadn't
Absolutely.
even fathomed at that point,
Right.
but I knew it
Didn't
needed
even
to change.
realize it, right?
I
Until
did
you
it.
started working for other people.
I realized, wow, there were a lot of lupus moms who are having
Mm,
preeclampsia. Not all of them happened as early as mine did, but so many of them are, going through preeclampsia. May, oddly, is lupus and preeclampsia awareness
oh,
month.
okay.
So
Okay.
it's been a busy month for me.
Yeah, I
But
bet.
sharing and sharing my story about both of those. But um, during the pandemic, shortly before the pandemic, I knew I wanted to start a website. I knew I wanted to start a blog. I was just gonna name it andsheshallreign.com.
Right.
And I launched it. My daughter turned 2, and we put her pictures up, and it was just a way to tell our story. I didn't think much else of it. And then the pandemic hit.
Right.
And I had all of these preemie mom friends that I had made who were now home, terrified with their medically fragile children. We knew what it was to isolate before it was cool.
Right.
When you have micro preemies, they tell you to keep them home fall,
Right.
winter. So we knew all of these precautions, the things that people are doing now. We've been
Right.
doing it since birth, but they were all terrified. There was this bug we knew nothing about,
Mhm.
and I started hosting like game nights, Friday game nights. I would take my own money, buy Visa gift cards or
Right. Right.
books or whatever, and we would just come together on Zoom. We would play games. Just something to kind of lighten the load to give them something to
Right.
do. I started
Yeah.
sending out gift boxes and things like that, and it built this village. It built this tribe of women. Then I learned about the Clubhouse app. So I said, let me take it to Clubhouse. It'll
Yeah.
take the pressure off. We can all talk. They don't have to be on video.
Video,
They
right.
can look a hot mess if they want to, and so can I, with our mom buns and our dirty t-shirts, and we can just talk and
Right,
do
right.
that. And A Room with Five Women has grown to a club of over 286 moms
Amazing.
of the premature, the disabled, and the medically
Right.
complex. And when I realized how big this was becoming, I realized I got to put a stamp on this.
Yeah.
So I incorporated Miracle Mamas LLC, and it has grown beyond my wildest dreams. I just
Right.
incorporated in August, and we've been blessed to give meal assistance and copay assistance, transportation assistance, host these game nights. We have midweek check ins every Wednesday on Clubhouse. Where we come in and just talk, we share about different topics, autism and
Right.
how to keep your little ones safe with all the
Right.
bugs that are going on. So it's been amazing. But if I'm honest, it has taken me away from sharing my story of dealing with lupus
Oh, absolutely.
and prematurity and all of that. So this literally is my first time on camera. I've done a million interviews, TV networks, you name it,
Right,
talking
right,
about, black maternal
right,
health and,
right.
near death birth experience, all of that. I've never talked about having lupus. So,
Well, I'm excited that you're here then, because you
yeah,
know what? Telling our, it, I think we get so caught up in helping everyone else that we forget we have a story too.
yeah.
And that story needs to be told not only for others, but it also needs to be told for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you have been through the gamut.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have been from hell and back, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And even to the point where you felt like it was the end, but no, it's not. You're here to
It
say the
was the
second word.
very beginning. I had my own
Exactly.
plans. I just got my
Exactly.
degree in clinical psychology and thought I was getting ready to go one path. And God was like, mm-mm, girl,
Mm-mm, girl, you are
and
not done.
flipped that thing completely.
I
And
love
I'm
it.
still getting to use it, helping moms and, going through postpartum and all of that. But um, it's been the most beautiful interruption to my
Yeah,
plans. I'll put it that way.
absolutely. Absolutely. A beautiful interruption that has projected you to help so many people.
Yeah.
And now you're able to just start to focus on things for yourself as well,
Mm-hmm.
and the time that you have to share with other people.
Absolutely.
So let's get back to that lupus journey a little bit. I
Okay.
see your husband said, absolutely, these stories need to be heard. It provides so much hope for so many others we may never meet. That is the sure enough truth, Ryan. It is.
Yeah.
Because what I have found, and the reason why that I started doing these stories was because of the pandemic. We usually just do the stories in print.
Mm.
And because of the pandemic, I was like, it would be great for people to be able to share their stories live
Yeah.
and heal a little bit and have
Mm-hmm.
some support from other lupus warriors that might need to hear your story. There's a
Mm-hmm.
woman out there that might have the same issues that you have had, and you have just given her hope. Definitely, definitely
I
given
hope
her
so.
hope. Yes, I believe it to be true. I really do. I'm looking at my notes. I just want to make sure that I'm asking the questions that I told you I was going to ask, because I can go over on
No,
different questions.
it's okay. Listen, I believe that whoever needs to hear this is here to hear
Absolutely,
it, and whatever needs
absolutely,
to come out will come out to help them.
absolutely. So now you said when you first found out that you had lupus, you were 26 years old. At that early age, it's not really early, but it is early. At that early age, how did you begin to explain to people, look, I have this disease that nobody really knows about? Did you know anything about lupus? I mean, how did you really start to tell people about what lupus was?
I did it. I did
Mm,
it. I did it.
mm,
People knew that I had this issue or that issue, but I didn't tell them. I think I came to like my pastor at the time and told her so
mm-hmm,
that she would understand this is not just me, not wanting to be here or
right,
staying home because I just don't feel like coming to church. No, this is what's happening. And
right,
it took my immune system essentially collapsing.
mm,
I think I was inpatient for about 7 or 8 days,
mm-hmm,
complete total isolation. They had to mask up to come see me. The nurses, took really great precautions because literally my immune system tanked.
Mm,
Thank God that's never happened again. But
right.
it took that for I think everyone to realize, okay, there's really something to this.
Mm,
But outside of that, I don't even think I told my parents for
wow.
another few years. I just didn't feel like I wanted to burden other people with something that I myself didn't fully understand. I
Right.
didn't feel like it was necessary. We had other things going on. There were a lot of transitions in my family. I just
Right.
didn't really find it necessary. But my daughter's birth essentially helped me to open and kick that door down and say,
Okay.
okay, here's what's going on. I'm not just dealing with having a preemie. This
Right.
is why it happened. Here's where I am. I am overloaded. I am overwhelmed.
Right.
Here's where I am. And by the grace of God, my health is, I've not been admitted, except for once since I've had my daughter,
Right.
whereas I was getting admitted seemed like every other month
Right.
prior to. So, I mean, that's been great, but opening that door and sharing was hard
Yeah. And and
because
and a
I
lot of people are
really,
saying that in the chat room over here at IG that that's a I don't know if it's so much everything is a denial kind of sort of.
Mhm.
I know that I have it, but everybody else doesn't need to know. You
Yeah.
know, and they're saying she was definitely in denial at first, as many of us are. But you said something about being overwhelmed, and I want to hit that because I saw uh, a little message here on my Instagram page that I wanted to address a little bit. And she said, "This is Ruthie, and she has another question that I'll ask a little bit later." And she says sometimes she feels like giving up, and I know when you're feeling overwhelmed, you can really feel like I just want to give up. What would you say to her? To just uplift her a little bit because I know you've been there. Most of us
Oh yeah.
have been there.
Oh yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
what would you say to her to just uplift her a little bit and let her know that it's okay. It's gonna happen. It's gonna be okay.
One of the things that I've learned on this journey is that we are sometimes the only Bible, inspirational book, whatever you want to call it, that people will ever read. And
Right,
if you prematurely stop your story,
right,
they won't ever be able to get to the nuggets to help them. I believe everything we go through is for a greater purpose. It's not just for us, it's for others. None of our pain is waste. I don't believe God wastes any pain. He doesn't waste any experience. And it is to help others, often to spare others, so they can learn from our wisdom. But how selfish would it be for you to rob the world, your family, your
your beauty.
friends, of
Absolutely.
the amazing, bright light and joy that you are, to rob them of witnessing the victories of your life?
Right.
How terrible
And I
would
like to
that
tell
be?
people all the time, you feel like you want to give up, but you have made it 100% of the time that you thought you could not.
Yeah,
So it's no use in giving up now.
yeah.
You're here today, right?
You have survived 100% of your yesterdays. You might as well keep
Absolutely.
going. Keep
Absolutely.
going to see. There is, and I'm sorry, I know everyone is not religious. It's just the
No, you're
foundation
fine.
of who I
You're
am.
fine.
Um, we talk about living to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. That means I don't have to die to experience some peace or hope. I can
Mhm.
have it right here, right now.
Absolutely.
The Lord's Prayer is something that we often say, let it be on earth as it is in heaven. Well, if I believe there's peace there, why can't I have it here?
Absolutely.
If I believe that there's healing there, why can't I experience that
Hey
here?
now, come on with it, girl.
So um, if your physical condition, if your mental condition, if carrying and juggling all the things that we women tend to juggle becomes too heavy, I encourage you to take it off. And how do we take it off? Well, he said, cast your cares on me so that
Absolutely.
I can care for you. He will
Absolutely.
literally not just care about us, but he will literally
Right.
care for us. He will
Right.
carry the burden. So I encourage you to find space and meditation. Cut off the toxicity and the negativity. We love to hold on to things because we feel like, well, if I don't save them, no one can. I tell you a secret, we can't
Yeah.
save them either.
Right. Right. That's not our job to do it.
It's our
It's not.
job.
No.
And we can't kill ourselves trying to save everyone else. You gotta know your limits. You gotta know when enough is enough and when to take time for you. As I
Absolutely.
tell you this, I am literally walking this out in my own life. I've been preaching it forever, but I'm literally just learning how to do what feels good to me, to listen to my body, to listen to my spirit, to know when I am burning out. There's no
Exactly.
prize for burn. I tell my mom this all the time. There's no prize for being the most tired, the most burned
Nope.
out. There's
Not at
no
all.
prize but sickness, um,
Right.
on extra
Yeah.
medication.
Yeah.
Those are the prizes that you win for doing that. So know you, know your limits, know when to take a moment, do what brings you joy every day. You should take at least 30 minutes a day, at minimum, doing something that brings you joy. For me,
Absolutely.
it's staying up after my family goes to bed and watching crime documentaries,
Right. Right.
or
Yeah.
drink a glass of wine if I feel like
Right.
it, or
Exactly.
something, reading, writing, whatever. Fixing iced coffee. I have an iced coffee addiction now. Whatever it is, doing that thing that brings you joy. You deserve to smile from your heart and not think. Just do something mindlessly amazing for at least 30 minutes a day.
And I love that. I love that you said you deserve to smile from your heart.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we're smiling, but we are so hurt inside. And once
Yeah.
we begin that self love trek and learn how to do for ourselves, it makes so much of a difference.
Oh, yeah.
And Ruthie says, "Thank you." She's only 21 years old and she's trying to be
Mm.
strong. Ruthie, you got this, girl.
Yes, you
You got
do. Please
this.
reach out to me. I would love to connect to you.
Yes, yes. We're gonna stop. We're gonna drop all your information down and all of our social medias and everything for everyone to get in touch with you. I think we all need that someone that can tell us, "Look, girl, you got it.
Yeah.
You got it."
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be no anybody that we know. Most of the time, we are going to get a nugget from someone we don't even know.
Listen, I have received
Hmm.
some of the most thoughtful gifts. I received some of the most caring phone calls, text messages from people I've never
No clue.
met. Some of my inner circle are moms on Instagram and Clubhouse I've never laid eyes on. So,
Never met
family
them.
is
Never,
what we
never
need.
really even talked to them one on one. But you have a connection
Hmm.
that gives you the strength to carry on.
Yeah,
And it's
family is what you make it. It is what you make. You get to choose. You don't get to choose the one you're born into, but you do
absolutely,
get to build your own.
absolutely, absolutely. And that friend that helps you beyond what anybody else can help you. It can just be sitting there, just being there with you, and
Oh
it
yeah.
makes a difference. It definitely makes a difference. Latina Lupus Warrior on Instagram says, "You are doing the best you can right now." I think she's talking to Ruthie. "You will learn that you have a strength within you that you had no idea was in you."
Hmm.
I like to read the different um, comments and stuff from both areas because some people just are so loving and supporting, and that makes a difference in every lupus warrior's life, don't you think?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. We all need that push, and
Absolutely.
it helps sometimes when people are not. I don't want to say biased, but I would say biased.
Oh yeah,
When they
personally
don't know
involved.
your
Yep.
story, they don't know what you have going on. They just know you're a beautiful person. I just want to push you. People in
Right.
your life have expectation. Oh, you're a mom. You're a wife. You got to keep going.
Yeah.
People who don't know you just know, girl, get up.
Yeah. I've been
Get.
there. You can get up too. Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Carmen says she needs this terribly. She's glad she tuned in. I'm glad you tuned in too, Carmen.
Yes, Carmen. Thank you for tuning in.
I appreciate everybody that's tuning in. It's such an important thing to hear stories. I keep saying it because it's just true.
Yeah.
It just really is true. I'm gonna get on to my next question. I know that your husband is obviously a big support system to you. What other support do you have besides, your family and your friends? Is there any other support systems that you have?
The community that I've built, the Miracle Mamas, are everything. Um, some of them, they have learned me so well that if they don't hear from me for a day or two, because I'm the one that checks on everybody. So if
Right.
they don't hear from me, everybody's like, mm-mm, something ain't right. And a lot of them have gone on to like befriend my husband quietly just to kind of
What's going on with her?
Yes, you okay? So they've been an amazing tribe. Just as I send them DoorDash cards, and they're going through a hard time, I'll send flowers or whatever. They've done the same for me. So the Miracle Mamas by far have been an amazing. I'm here trying to carry them through motherhood, and they don't even know. Sometimes they've literally carried
Married
me
you. Absolutely.
through various situations. So yeah, outside of my husband, who is
Hmm.
my absolute rock. My daughter, she's 4. She doesn't realize it, but she's been a rock. Just watching her survive, but she survived,
Right.
is a motivation. My
A little
family,
warrior self.
but the Miracle Mamas are definitely that.
Awesome.
I've met some amazing people on Instagram, and Clubhouse. I have a group of friends. I just met 2 of them this weekend in Orlando. We never lay eyes on each other, but we talk every
Awesome.
single night
I love
for
it.
like the
I love
last
it.
year.
I love it.
We've all chatted and talked, and I got to meet them and introduce them to my family this weekend, which was amazing. So I've really been blessed in that regard.
And social media, sometimes I think we complain about social media, but it's been a lifesaver for many. It's been a
Especially in
lifesaver.
this pandemic, especially in this
Absolutely.
pandemic, community is so necessary. And in a time where we couldn't gather, we found community in the tools that were out there. So social media can it's bittersweet. It's
Yeah,
bittersweet. I'll say
yeah,
that.
yeah, absolutely. So now, what do you do and this has been a question in the chat room as well. What do you do to cope with the pain? What do you do with cope with joint
Mm,
pain if you have it? How do you cope with all that? Can we give us some advice about that?
sure. So I have had to come to this realization in the last, excuse me, few years that I'm not a superhero. I'm a
Hey, say
superwoman.
it again, girl, for the people in the back.
I am not a superhero. I am made of flesh, blood. I bleed. I cry. This body breaks down. And I have to take my medicine.
Yeah.
So, to the person who does not take their medicine because they hate the effects, I feel you.
Mhm.
But take your medicine
Right.
until something else happens, some other new medicine comes, something else that you could try comes. Take your medicine. Take your medicine. I hate prednisone with a passion,
A blessing and a curse, that stuff.
but I take it.
Yeah.
It has destroyed my bones,
Yeah.
but it has kept me out of the hospital. It has kept
Yeah.
me from nephritis and recurrent pneumonia. Those are a lot of the things that lupus caused me to go through. It has kept me home to raise my baby.
Right.
It put a lot of weight on me. It caused some other things, but it has definitely been, and Plaquenil have been the 2 drugs that have been my mainstays that have been
Right.
super helpful. So take your medicine. I also definitely love super hot long showers. I stopped doing baths just because my knees and hips are like my most painful areas. So trying to get out of the tub is problematic.
Right.
But long hot showers, heating pads are great. Lidocaine patches are heaven.
Yes.
If you have prescription pain meds, take them. They are a blessing. I know there's so much negative stigma out there, but they are meant for people like us who have
Right.
chronic pain,
Right.
who need them for our quality of life. Take them.
Right.
Um, is there anything else? And of course, prayer, prayer, reading, writing, finding moments of peace when I'm in terrible pain has been more helpful at times than taking medicine.
Right.
Just finding that mental just escape from what is going on has been super helpful.
Yeah. Someone said, "Do you focus on diet much?"
Yes. So I did not in my lupus journey because I blamed, and I still do. I noticed that when I started taking prednisone that first year, I gained about 80 pounds.
I think we all did, baby. Yeah.
My doses were up, down, up, down. I went off for a period. I got sicker. They put me back on. It just went all over the place. From the time that I got diagnosed and started taking prednisone to September of last year, I gained about 100 pounds. And my weight went up, down, up, down, up, down. Actually, a little more than 100 pounds. I took control of that
Hmm.
this past September by getting a gastric sleeve. So
Okay.
I'm being transparent because my journey with diet is very different. I can't tell you some magical diet that's gonna help. I can only tell you what I did. So I have obviously caloric restriction since September. 8 months ago, I've lost 83 pounds, which has been amazing.
Wow.
But I have looked into some of the like inflammation diets and
Hmm.
things like that. I have some lupus friends who have gone vegan and found relief. I
Hmm.
just think whatever works for you, this whole thing is trial and error, I feel like.
Absolutely.
So you have
Absolutely.
to find what works for you. Some people cut out dairy and,
Right.
see less inflammation. So there are a lot of diets out there. Try it. See what works for you. Give it 2 weeks. If you see a difference, go with it. And if not, then there's something different you could do, but definitely try to eat balanced for sure.
Absolutely.
We can't. Prednisone is a sugar. It craves sugar. It craves carbonation. It craves that. I turned into a cookie monster, literally on prednisone,
Literally, right?
literally. So getting some self control and realizing, okay, I can't. This is not healthy. Cutting back, all things in moderation. Even on this journey I'm on now, all things in moderation, I think, is the key to just finding balance.
That's a lot of people try and keep a journal, a food journal. I
Mm,
always keep a lot of different journals because I want to see how things affect my body. And
yeah,
keeping a food journal can tell you what foods affect your body and
absolutely.
what foods are good for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that can to give you your specific diet that you need because we know that lupus is the same disease manifested totally different in everybody's body,
Yeah.
totally different. So what might work for Ebony or something that might work for Raquel, it might not work for Ruthie or someone else. So
Right.
I always tell people always keep a mood journal and a food journal so that you know where your stress is coming from
Mm.
and how to fix any type of eating habits that you might have that are causing inflammation. But
There's
like
a
you
tip.
said,
I'm
go
sorry. Go
ahead.
ahead.
No, you can go ahead.
So for the food journal part, there's something
Mhm.
I started doing as I was getting ready to go into the gastric surgery. There's an app called MyFitnessPal, and
Yes.
there's another one called Berrytastic. I use them both, and it's so easy. It helps me keep track of what I'm eating in the day. You can scan the code. There's a code on practically everything that we eat. It brings up the nutrition facts. You pick your servings, and literally, I can look through, see how, my protein, my cholesterol, my fat, all that stuff for the day. And I can see, oh, this is where I went left. This is whatever. There's room for notes. So if you're a person who doesn't think you're going to remember to write, you may not
Use
remember
that
to write,
phone.
but you'll
Mhm.
remember to scan. I mean, there's literally a code on everything. You take that phone, you scan it, you make sure your
Right.
service size is right, and go on about your business. And it's
Ab-
so easy, so
Absolutely.
easy to just
Absolutely.
keep track of what you're doing. And they often ask you, those apps, especially Verytastic, and My Fitness Pal will ask you what your goals are. Are you looking to lose weight? Oh, here's what you should do.
Right, right,
So
right.
they're very helpful.
Very helpful. Everything, everything. That's very good information. Berry Tasset, Berry.
Berry, like bariatric.
Okay. Oh,
So
okay. I
Berry.
got you. Berry Tasset. Okay, I'll put that in the chat a little bit later. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And we're coming. We're starting to wind down a little bit. Um, what have you learned about yourself on your lupus journey?
Hmm.
That's always a hard question for people.
It is. So I have learned that I am not superhuman. I prided myself on this incredible strength.
Mhm.
I've been through so much. I can handle it. I can take it. Lupus has a way of gut punching you.
Yes.
It will kick you in the shin. It will find the weakest spot that you are not covering and
Right.
show you how strong you really are not.
Right.
So I've learned that I'm not superhuman, that I have to take care of myself, that I have to do my best to do what feels good to my body, listen to what my body is requiring. I've also learned that I am not as patient with
Mm.
myself and others
Interesting.
as I thought I was.
Interesting.
That has definitely come to the forefront. I am
Mm.
so hard on myself,
Right. Right.
and it's caused me to be hard on others.
Of
Thank
course.
God for my husband helping me to realize that as well. I feel like, oh well, I had a C-section. I got right back up and I went to the NICU. They
You should
should
be
be
able
able to
to
sit up.
too.
You had to. You were in
Right,
fight mode. You were in survival
right,
mode.
right,
But they should be able to stay home for 6 weeks and chill and do nothing.
right. And
You
you,
know, so I had
that's
these
okay.
hard these
Yeah,
expectations of everyone because of my experience. So
yeah.
I've learned to be more patient and understanding and give um ooh,
Give yourself
I
some
give
grace.
the grace
Yeah, yeah,
that I didn't get. I'll put it that way.
yeah.
I and everything I do now, I try to be the answers that I didn't have when I needed them the most. That's
Absolutely.
what motivates me to do everything I do now.
Yeah. And you have to, I feel like when we get diagnosed with lupus, we have to relearn ourselves.
Oh yeah.
We have to learn how to speak to ourselves a little better, be kinder to ourselves, have a little bit more compassion. And once we start doing that with ourselves, like you stated, it's much easier to be that way with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
I just tell my son all the time, you know what? Treat people the way you want to be treated, but treat yourself like you want people to treat you. You
Mm-hmm.
always want people to be kind and compassionate to you. So do that for yourself first before you
Yeah.
even think about going to someone else.
Yeah.
You know,
You have to teach people how to love you. You have to teach people how to
absolutely.
treat
Yes, yes.
you. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. And you have to reteach them once they find out you have lupus, because so many people can really judge you. Did you
Yeah.
ever experience that? Did you ever experience and feel like somebody was judging you because you told them that you had lupus?
Oh yeah, not because I told them I had lupus per se, but because I was going through medical issues. It was
Mhm.
like does she just want attention? Does she just want to be the center of attention right now? Does she
Right,
just really not
right.
want to go? Is that what this is? And I'm like, I wish I had the quality of life that I see my other, at that time, I saw my other peers having. I'm running circles around some of my 35-year-old friends, but the 26-year-old me,
Right.
I was watching everybody living life and going, and there I was tired on the couch, exhausted, So I got a lot of judgment for that, but they didn't realize like I want to be you. I wish I could go run the streets all night, but I can't.
And that was a blessing in itself, because the street ain't always the best place for you to
Oh
be.
no, not at all.
You know, the best question that we have become worried about. That's interesting. Swati on Instagram said the best question: we have become warriors, not a worried person anymore.
Hmm.
Interesting. That's an interesting statement. So instead of being a worrier, now we've become warriors. But I sometimes feel that those two are kind of a little muddled, because I do worry sometimes. I
I was
mean,
gonna say I can attest that I'm not a worrier.
right,
That would just be
right.
that would be false. I
Yeah,
definitely worry. Not
yeah,
about me and lupus per se, but in other areas of my life for sure.
yeah. And it's important. I like to say lupus warriors, but you know what? It's the reality is sometimes we don't feel like the warrior that we present to others, and we
Hmm.
have to recognize that, and we have to say to ourselves, okay, this is the time that I have to step back and do for me, and take time to stop.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Deborah says she's learning so much. She was diagnosed 8 years ago, and she's now 70. Wow, Deborah.
Mm.
Wow. I'm so glad you're with us, though. I'm so glad that everybody's tuning into this story, and I'm happy that Ebony was so inviting to come and tell her story. It's so important. It's so
Yeah.
important, because you just never know who is out there that is going to relate to you in your story. And we're starting to wind down now. We're coming down to our last couple of questions. So I love to ask this question to everybody that I speak to, and that is, what is your fight song?
Okay, this is the question I was stressing over real bad. Like moments before, I was like, "Oh my god, I don't know." Like I was literally going through my phone. I was like, "I don't know. Mind you, I'm a musical person. I sing all day, but I'm
Right,
like,
right.
a fight song. Do I have a fight song?" And it dawned on me.
Uh-huh.
There's a song by an artist called Brian Courtney Wilson, and
Okay.
the song is called "Worth Fighting For."
Mm. Wow.
And it talks about how your family, your future, All the things that you want to do, all your aspirations are worth you fighting through.
Mm,
Not just physically, but even in those moments as we talk to Ruthie, wanting to give up, and the things that we're dealing with in our society. And,
right.
sometimes it just makes you just want to throw your hands up like, whatever, I'm going to just be in my own world. But no, we have to be active participants in our own victories. And our victories are worth fighting for.
Mm, I love
They're
it.
worth fighting for.
I love it. I love it. See, you thought it was going to be hard, but then you realize, hey, I know what it is. I just got to mindfully find it.
It's only my most listened to song in my phone
Right.
right now. So once I went through my library, I was like, duh, girl, there it
Right,
is. Worth
right,
fighting for.
right. So, and you said your Bible verse was Second Timothy
2 and 12.
2:12.
Yep.
I'm
If we
putting it in there because
suffer with them, we will reign with them.
yeah. It's so much, and it doesn't matter whether you are spiritual or you're religious or whatever the case may be. We all know that we are not kept here by ourselves. We are not kept here by our own volition and everything like that. There is something greater than us that keeps
Yeah.
us here in our physical form, or what I call our earth suit.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you're religious or spiritual, there's always something bigger than you that's
Yeah.
helping you along the way. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. By no goodness of my own, am I sitting here. Definitely, I am a recipient of the maximum amount of grace possible.
Absolutely.
And it's the only reason why I can even share this. I'm even still alive to share this. So, my next breath is dependent upon a higher power.
There you go. There you go. Absolutely. And our last question, because I don't want to keep you too long. I know you said your daughter comes home very soon from school, so I want you to
In
be able to
about an hour, yeah.
be I want you to be able to be fresh and ready and have some time to yourself before she gets home. What three pieces of advice do you have for lupus warriors today?
So, I said this earlier, and I reiterate because I know a lot of us are stubborn, and feeling like we are not in control can make a lot of us
Hmm.
stubborn. We, overly control the things we can control. Take your medicine, okay? I do believe in supernatural healing. I absolutely do. But God gave us doctors for a reason. And I just think we would do ourselves a disservice if we only take the pieces from them that we want. We'll trust the diagnosis, but we won't trust the treatment.
Say it
So,
again.
there are times when you may have to advocate for yourself when you feel like something is not right.
Right.
And that's going to be my second point, to always advocate for yourself, but follow the treatment plan. Number two, advocate for yourself. If something is not right, if you feel like something is not right for you, speak up. Speak up. Yes, they have a degree, but they are practicing medicine. You
Absolutely.
know your body. You know what you're experiencing better than anyone.
Right.
So speak up and advocate for yourself.
Mm.
And my third piece of advice, above any pill you can take, above any surgery that can bring you, relief, I would say above all, the key to, I feel, finding peace in this journey with lupus is realizing that your pain is not wasted. None of what you're going through is wasted. If I would not have gone through what I would have been through, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about this. We'd be
Mm.
talking about hair or makeup or something. But the pain of lupus, the pain of loss, the pain of preeclampsia or prematurity, or the many causes that I advocate for, it is all drawn out of pain. Pain is not wasted. Don't allow your
Mm.
experience and all the experiences that you have gone through, don't let that wisdom die with you. I tell people all the time, I want to die empty. I want to go to the grave completely empty of everything that I had to give, the wisdom
Absolutely.
of my experiences, the love I have to give, the joy that I can give to others through, acts of service or
Right.
kind words, whatever it may be. I want to be empty. I want to go to bed every night empty, knowing
Right.
that I did everything I was supposed to do. And my pain is wasted if I don't take what I've learned out of my
Hmm.
experiences and help someone else navigate those waters, even if I almost drowned in them.
Right.
Who more suited to help you than the person who almost drowned? So your pain is not wasted. Don't you waste it keeping your mouth shut.
Mm. Yeah. Whew. Don't you waste it keeping your mouth shut. That is one word right there. That is, I mean, if you didn't hear nothing else, you better hear that. You better hear that.
Lesson learned the hard way.
Yeah.
The
You know
hard way.
what your mama used to say, a hard head make a soft behind. So you
Mm-hmm.
might as well speak up.
Yeah.
Worst that can happen is that they don't like what you say, but that's all right.
And who knows? It may. How many times have our parents told us something, and in the time it didn't seem applicable, but 10 to 15 years later, 30 years later, you're like, oh, that's why
I
they
get
said
it.
that.
Yeah, I get it.
Mhm.
It's
That
just like when we
we'll
were stressed
understand it
out.
better by and by. That's what that
Yep.
means. As time goes
Absolutely.
on, you will definitely understand it. As life goes on, some of those nuggets of wisdom, they sit and they hide, but when it's time, it'll come
Hmm.
to fruition. Roots
Yeah.
grow from the ground up. You may not see the tree,
Absolutely.
but the roots are growing.
Absolutely.
Just
Absolutely.
plant the
So true.
seed. All you can do is
So
plant the
true.
seed.
Yep. Plant seed and wait for the reap for the soul, right?
Yep.
This is the last response I'm going to read, guys, because we're coming up on time. This really gives me motivation. This is from Swati. This really gives me motivation. Thank you for this session and give a feeling that you are not alone in this. You're not.
You're absolutely
Not
not.
alone. Absolutely not alone. Give us
Mm-mm.
all of your information. What's your website?
So my website is called miraclemamas.org. miraclemamas.org. You can find a blog there, not just my stories, but stories of other amazing preemie parents, parents of children with autism. You can find resources on how to help medical parents, people in the NICU. There's a resource hub there where you can find information on just about anything. You can also find my merch there. I have a company called Miracle Mama Merch. You can get all kinds of inspirational teas for your preemies, your moms, your dads. There's something for everybody.
I
Cups,
love
bags, journals, you name it, it is there. You can also follow me on Instagram at and she shall reign. I also have an Instagram for my nonprofit, and that is Miracle Mamas LLC at Miracle Mamas LLC. You can follow me on both of those to keep up with whatever I am doing. Those are the best ways to get in contact with me. My Facebook, I'm not super active on Facebook. But Instagram, definitely. You can follow me on Clubhouse. My name is Ebony Ford. You can find my club, the Miracle Mamas Club. Just type in Miracle Mamas. Or if you type in prematurity, we are the number one prematurity club on
Yes, I
Clubhouse.
love it. That's
And we
right.
will pop right up.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your heart, for being so transparent, and for allowing us to hear your story. I really appreciate it. I really, really do. Because some people just don't want to do that. And I find it amazing when people are able and willing to do that for us. So thank you so much. Do you have anything, any last minute things that you want to tell us?
Well, to you, I definitely want to say thank you for this amazing platform that you've built.
Thank you.
It is only my hope that what I'm doing with Miracle Mamas would touch as many as
Oh,
Lupus and
thank
Color has.
you.
I've been following for quite some time,
Oh,
um,
thank you.
watching. I've been on the website. I've been reading probably for about 2 years now. Just kind of
Wow.
following and watching, and I've enjoyed the stories. I've enjoyed everything I've heard, the amazing information. I'm always sharing your little
Oh,
memes and posts that you create. So
thank
it is
you.
almost a wish or a dream come true to be sitting here and sharing with you. So I definitely
Thank you.
appreciate you allowing me to do that.
Thank you.
And to all the lupus warriors, I just encourage you to share your story, be someone else's roadmap, help them as much as you can. We all know what it feels like, that moment when you get the diagnosis and you're like, what now? well, you can be somebody else's what now. You can show them what to do, how to go, where to move, and to share your knowledge. I believe that we're all here sharing this diagnosis for a reason. It's an amazing community, and I hope that we can all continue to grow together and help one another and be of support. And I'm always here if, my platform, if there's anything I can do, I would love to be of support. I will be around. I'll still keep sharing and supporting. I will
Good,
still be
good.
rooting. Absolutely. I
Yeah,
think
I'm definitely going to tap into you, and I love what you're doing. I love your spirit. I love your motivation, and I love your positiveness.
thank
Even though
you.
you've been through so much, it's such an enduring spirit that you have to invite people to speak to you and to just really enjoy being in your presence. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We've come up on our time, and I'm going to let you go. Give
All
that
right.
beautiful Rain a hug for me and tell your
Yes,
husband thank
ma'am.
you so much for tuning in. I so
Yes, ma'am.
appreciate you
I
both.
will. Enjoy your day.
Thank you. You too. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. What an awesome story. If you did not get the whole story, please take a moment to rewind this. Do they say rewind anymore? I don't think they do. But make sure that you take the time to rewind this and really listen to her story. What a positive and amazing woman she is. So I want to thank you all for tuning in all month for all of our Lupus Warrior stories. That was our last live story for the month. If you would like to tell your story, come on and reach out to us, and we will set you up for another day and we can share your story as well. So, thank you so much for tuning in to In the Loop Lupus Live. We so appreciate your support and hope that something that someone said here is helpful to you or the person that supports you. Thank you so much, guys. You all have a great day. Bye bye.